I'm Carrie, a holistic health practitioner, trauma-informed coach, and a mom who's walked through some of life's darkest, hardest tests. And along the way, I've learned to transmute pain into purpose. Guided by lived experience, professional training, and a deep, deep intuition, I'm called to show you how to do the same. Let me show you how to trust yourself so that even if your branch that you land on breaks along the way, you'll know how to fly. Come as you are, wherever you are on your journey. I am so glad you're here. Hey guys. Okay, so I am going to do a quick episode on something I feel is really important, something that I've been experiencing massively myself because of things going on in my life, and also because I know that there is a collective frustration, a lot of uncertainty, and the thing that I want to talk to you today about is anger. Okay. A lot of the coaching that I do, actually, be really surprised. A lot of people come to me wanting to know themselves better or get some spiritual evolution going or get to know themselves spiritually or be better in their relationships or be a better mom or whatever the situation. And almost 100% of the time, I am going back to basics with them and teaching them their own emotions. So the basic emotions of fear, sadness, anger, what's beneath anger. And the reason why I talk about anger is because actually anger is a secondary emotion typically. But anger is something that I feel is stigmatized. I feel like, there's some cultures in what women and men all have like different rules and ideas around what's okay with feeling anger and how that looks and how it presents and manifests. And I really want to make sure people understand what actually is happening. And the reason personally why I feel drawn and called is usually an intuitive draw to the collective, meaning there's someone here that needs to hear this. This collective that's watching this needs to hear this. So I'm trusting that intuitive nudge to come on and talk about something that isn't super comfortable to talk about, but this is what this podcast is about, having uncomfortable conversations. Just as a little context, I grew up in a house where my parents, anger was allowed, but it was also like the way you were heard. The only way you were heard is if you got louder in my house. So I learned at an early age that for me, it wasn't like, oh, we're giving you permission to feel angry, but the expression of anger was scary coming from my dad, who had a pretty bad temper growing up, is now like much more regulated, I would say. But I was also one of 4 siblings, and being second in that, the second is often the lost soul, kind of like voice being lost and disappear amongst the chaos. So first I want to explain that anger can look really scary. It can look loud. It can sound loud. It can look loud. It can often feel like, blood rushing to your face, or I don't get the physical. I just get like the nervous system, heart pounding and that kind of thing. But I really want to explain that most of what you see day to day in the world, politically, culturally, is a lot of anger. And I think, being a mom, part of where this is all coming from is one of my children is going through a hard time. And I have worked very, very hard on trying to set an emotional safety stage in my house of like, all emotions are welcome, and, let's just walk through them and learn to regulate. And some things have happened where, I have 2 boys and a girl. My girl is amazing, but she is going through those harder years, and she's really tested my ability to regulate. And when I get triggered, that looks angry. Okay. So one of the reasons I wanted to come on is because for me, and I know for my clients, and I know for whoever's watching, when you feel angry, I want you to understand that what's actually happening is there's a trigger. So something has pinged a wound of yours, usually an older wound or could be a current wound. And underneath the anger is usually shame, fear, most of the time, a sense of powerlessness, a sense of unfairness, that some sort of threat, your nervous system and our brain all like basically look at whatever the trigger is in that moment and immediately make meaning of what this means to me. So is it threatening your agency or autonomy? Is it threatening your sense of self-aware enoughness? Is it pinging inadequacy? That's a huge one for parents. Is it making you feel whatever's happening, the trigger? Is it making you feel like all you've done is not enough? And typically, like if you put yourself in, if you're a mom or a parent, being afraid and feeling not enough and having something challenge that, all that effort of trying to show up better and be better can really trigger that sense of like nothing I do is ever enough. And so when you feel yourself walking around like that, I think it's really important to be able to name the emotion and not make sure you're not putting it under an overarching umbrella. What I see all the time is people call it anxiety, people call it like I'm just frustrated. And then there's a lot of like shame and guilt and like backpedaling and like I shouldn't feel this way. And yes, you should. It's totally, you have full permission to feel every emotion that comes through. And so I just I want to make sure that you guys understand that anger is completely normal and human. It is not very accepted, especially for like women to be angry. We're really supposed to be like regulated and soft and tender. And I'm like, no, that's not, especially if you're in the role of a caretaker or something of that nature, you are going to be triggered. Your wounds are going to be pinged. And one of the major, if I look away, it's just because I'm channeling a lot of information, but it's important that you guys understand your own emotions. And I feel like anger is one of the ones that sort of people think it comes through and then oh, I've calmed down now. But are you really looking at the actual emotion that you're feeling? What caused it? What happened? What did it hit for you? What kind of story or narrative or belief system did it hit for you? Did it make you feel like your autonomy was a threatened? Did it make you feel shame, like I am not enough? Did it make you feel guilt? Did it make you feel powerless? I just think it's really important to learn that when you see anger or you feel anger, to understand that it is not actually the primary emotion. So I see, and this is not like about like stigmatizing gender at all, but I see a lot of men who have ongoing simmering anger. I actually see a lot of moms like that too. And I would say I have had that. And I feel like it was because I have a really long standing background of intending on showing up a certain way and then not being understood the way that I intended to show up. And that cultivates frustration and anger. But really beneath that is a powerlessness, right? Like I try and I do all these things and still no one understands. And so you feel like all this like threat to who you are and your intention of of that moment to that being. I feel like this is all over the place a little bit, but I think it's really important to understand that anger is not just anger. It's not just like a black and white. I'm angry and then I'm not. It's a whole cascade of emotions that happens. So I hope that like inspires you to research it a little bit. Maybe look into it. Maybe just like do a quick search on anger but the tools that I want to offer you when you do get angry, and however that looks for you. Some people are afraid to express anger. There's a lot of, women who I coach who are afraid to voice their anger. And just like every other emotion, if you do not learn to express your emotions, your body will clock all of the experiences and keep that score for you. And eventually it will come out. whether it's through resentment and another emotion, whether it's through like physical illness or energetic block, stagnation in the body. But the couple tools that I wanted to offer for when you feel triggered and angry specifically is to just ask what am I actually, what just happened to cause me to do that? Like, so what's the trigger? And what do I actually feel? I feel angry in the moment, but what is beneath that? I feel hurt, pain. I think did I not mention that? That's like a main secondary, main emotion, hurt, pain. So I feel afraid. For me, that's a huge one. For me, when I feel afraid, like my child does something that's like wildly dangerous, or if I have like core fears that are triggered, it can come out as anger. So identifying what is actually beneath the masking emotion of anger, what is the true emotion? And then, if you're willing and able, write it down, write about it. What does this mean for me? Like what actually happened? What try to track the wound. So what is this like? What is this reminding me of? There's like usually like a dominant wound that it's pinging and try to track the wound. And then obviously nervous system regulation. I am a huge fan of vagus nerve stimulation. So deep breath, holding, and then your exhale is super slow at 8 seconds or more. And it's like a resistance, like you're blowing through a straw. So like resistance in your lips. You guys try to hold the inhale and then a longer exhale. I'm telling you, and I'm going to do a whole separate episode on nervous system regulation and breath work, but that breath work has literally saved my life in this season of insanity and trauma that I have going on, and it will save yours. Nervous system regulation. If you can just take 5 minutes, even better, put your legs up the wall. So like where your head belongs on your bed. This is so random. Where your head belongs on your bed. Put your feet up that wall, like so that your head is laying towards the end of the bed and your feet are where your pillows would be. And they're like up the wall, like that. Do some deep breathing, and the like other layer of that vagus nerve stimulation is when you're doing that, look up and to the right, while you're doing that deep breathing until you yawn or have some sort of release, and then do the other side as well. That will literally engage your sympathetic nervous system. I mean, yeah, to bring everything back to center. And you want to make sure that, I mean, for the people around you, you want to make sure that it is regulated enough to like return to the situation, the scene, the person, the conversation. I mean, it's completely okay to take a break from a conversation. That is emotional communication, like good emotional communication, emotional intelligence is to know when you're dysregulated. Tell the person, I need to take a break and go and regulate yourself. And the quickest way you can do that is through naming the emotion to yourself and finding your breath. Your breath is your anchor and it will always save you every time. So, I hope that inspires you to look into anger more. It is such an interesting emotion. I might be alone there in the like interesting part, but it's interesting to me because I've had to, it's been a big player in my nervous system, like, resentment and anger but it's really fear for me. And so I know that I'm not alone in that. And I know that there's somebody watching here that is going to inspire them to look into that further for themselves and just know that every emotion has a purpose and the meaning that we put to it is typically not immediately correct. It's usually tracked to a wound or a belief system or some sort of threat to safety, autonomy, agency, your power, your personal power, and pain and hurt. So I hope that has helped you. Anger is okay to feel. It's just important that you regulate and understand it so that the next time it comes through, you are familiar with it. I hope that helps, and I will be on soon I'm going to talk more about other emotions, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope it helps someone. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening to Bird on a Branch. If any of this has resonated, sit with it. Better yet, let me know by leaving me a comment on your favorite platform. And don't forget to subscribe and follow the show so that you never miss what's coming.